things that was a goal of mine, being in the mental health field, is a talented and gifted program. To me, that was like a pride thing. That's like if you get your kids in the talented and gifted program, now your ego is really big. And so I'm sure, and I'm just going to admit now, a lot of what I was doing on behalf of my children was from this other program. And it was all about my ego and how I would appear and what things would look like and seem like to other people. And I now see that as very demonic, and I'm quite horrified at what I did and how I set my children up. So I knew how to coach my kids to get them into the tag program. And am I going to use those skills? Of course I am. You think I'm going to act like I don't know how to do that? No. I know what they're looking for. So I make sure these 4 children all have these requisite skills. Of course, they're the ones who have to take the test. They all four get in. So I think I am the shit. Okay, because I got them all 4 in. I also took them to this place called SCORE, where we would do computer learning for an hour or 2 after school every day. I mean, they were all about it. They loved it. Also, my youngest child was the first one to sign the reading wall at her elementary school and kindergarten, because she wanted to read 200 books and be the first one in kindergarten to sign that wall. And I'm like, okay, girl, do it. So we were all about academics and intelligence and all of this stuff. So this is all the reason. This is what I wanted to bring forward. And I don't know how this is going to come out. It's a lot of it is unprocessed because I've never had anyone to tell the story to. I haven't told this story. I don't know if I'm going to cry. I don't know how this is going to go. So I hope everybody will be patient with me. I'm just going to jump.
And before I do to you, I just want to say I have all the photos up. So as you're talking,
Right.
feel free to cue me and I'll try to find the photo that matches what you're talking about. But just let it flow.
Okay.
There's no pressure for anything.
Let's go ahead and show the photos of my child before. And we'll just use that word for right now, before. We won't say what before what, but let's just show the before pictures.
I have those too. Let me find okay, before is, okay, here we go. Let me get screen share up. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh, Amelia. Wow. Just go ahead and show people all of these pictures I sent you, please, so they can kind of get an idea of what was going on here. Do you see how uncomfortable she is there?
Yes.
Look at her. She's so
How old is
uncomfortable.
she in these photos?
Like
About.
maybe, I think maybe 16, 14 to 16.
Okay, let me go back. I'm gonna enlarge this.
So you can see can you see in these photos that something's already happened to her?
Yeah, she has this sort of it looks like a serious look, but you can tell these photos aren't like her. Nobody's telling her to do this emotion. She's doing it on her own.
Mm-hmm. Do you see how beautiful and exquisitely beautiful my child was?
Absolutely beautiful.
Look at her. Look at her. So by this time, whatever had happened to her had already happened. I just wanted you to see how you can see in her body and in her being that she's already has shame and some kind of fracturing in there.
And were these photos while you were in your second marriage? Was that whenever this was taken?
So the period of time I'm going to tell you about a story is when she was in the second grade. But these pictures were from KD modeling pictures, and they were professional photographs. And she's very photogenic, and as you can see, exquisitely beautiful. And I tell people my daughter looked like Angelina Jolie, only more beautiful, in my opinion.
Yes, yes. Beautiful thick hair too. She's gorgeous.
Yes, that's my child. That's who I gave birth to. And I will tell you that my child is still alive, but that being is not in the body of my child currently. This person is gone and I don't know where she went. And so now I'm going to tell you the story of the part of the story I know.
Okay.
All right.
And I'll take
So
this. You
Go
can let me
ahead.
know if there's like other photos
Yeah.
that you want me to bring up.
Yeah, I'll let you know. So Amelia's in the second grade. She has just gotten into the tag program because that's when it starts. And the children were being dressed, and this is an important point of distinction here of the story. I don't know if you know of the store brand Oilily. Have you ever heard of Oilily?
I have heard of it. I don't think I've ever bought it though, but I've definitely seen it around.
Oilily. People might want to look it up. And the way Oilily looks now is different than it looked when we were buying these. But what it was these very colorful flowers with striped pants and this and that. And they had all these pieces and that would go together, mix and match. And we would buy all of it and we would dress them all four up in these outfits. And then I would take them to school and they'd all be walking behind me into school. And it was like four little ducklings and me. Yeah, those kind of clothes. Like that. So our children were going to school. Okay, there you go. They were looking like that, just like that. That's how my kids were going to school every day. Thank you. So imagine Amelia, as beautiful as she was as a little girl, and I don't want to show what she looked like then because that feels too sacred to me. So I can only show you the older ones because that's all I can manage. But she told me in the second grade that she didn't want me dressing her like that anymore. And this was after a field trip to the aquarium. And this is important, Emma, the aquarium. Have you ever heard anything about field trips to aquariums in the GATE program?
I have, so I'm very curious to hear your story too. I think the
Well,
story I heard was actually an aquarium in Texas too.
okay, wow. Well, this could be very helpful for me then. And this could be why I'm talking to you and not someone else. So I don't really know what I'm venturing into here because a lot of this is still cloaked for me. I'm just going to tell the pieces I'm aware of and how they came. So my child says to me she doesn't want to be noticed and she doesn't want to be dressed like this anymore. And so I'm confused by this, but I'm sensitive enough to listen. And so it was heartbreaking, but I had to leave those outfits behind and let my children start choosing what they wanted to wear, which were clothes that blended in and made them not noticeable.
And this happened after they were accepted into TAG and started those programs. Okay.
My child, this is the oldest child. Amelia is the oldest. My daughter was the oldest. She was in the second grade. So she was in the tag, and the others weren't in the tag program yet because they were grade behind. Like the girl 3 months younger was a grade behind. So they weren't in the same grade. So my daughter was the first one in tag. So she's in tag in the second grade, comes home, tells me she doesn't want to be dressed like this anymore. She doesn't want to be noticed. I can tell that my child's spirit, she's hurt. Something's happened, but she won't say anything to me about it. That's all she will say. So being the mom I was, I still had a feisty little spirit way back then. I marched myself up to that school into the second grade teacher, Miss Ashby. Miss Ashby, this round, matronly looking woman. And I had noticed that Miss Ashby seemed to have an emotional entanglement with my child, but I didn't understand it. And I called it out. And I'm like, I don't know what your preoccupation is with my child, but I know who my child is. And she's so quiet. She doesn't cause any problems and she's never a behavioral issue ever. You just look at her and she does what she's supposed to do. So I don't understand what's going on, but I want you to stop it. But I don't know what I'm talking at. I don't know what has happened. I still don't know. But this was after a field trip to the aquarium. That's what I know. Now, that's all I get with that piece. Now, let's fast forward. I'm sick and I'm in my bed, and I come across Donald Marshall, who talks about cloning and says he himself has been cloned. Are you aware of Donald Marshall?
Yes. Yep. And I've had other guests on my show that have similar experiences to him.
Okay. So somehow, when I hear Donald Marshall's story and I hear about my labs, and then he tells a story and he talks about field trips to aquariums, I'm like, what? And then I'm like, did they take my child and clone her? Did they take her and clone her? That's what my spirit says. Now, I don't have any evidence of this in the material world, but I am going to tell you that my child was not messed with or traumatized in my care. And I worked with sexual abuse survivors before my children were ever born. And I was very well aware of incest and all kinds of stuff. And my children were not in daycare, and they were very rarely ever out of my sight. But my child developed personality disorders, borderline personality disorder, cutting, first relationship, had a girl over, got up the next for sleepover, got up the next morning, hickeys on the neck. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you like girls, so I guess there's no sleepovers. Where's the manual for this? Like, what am I supposed to do in my parenting here now? I guess no sleepovers with girls because you're not old enough to date. I think she was only 14, like ninth grade. Ninth grade. And I'm like, all right, well, and then there was a boy pursuing my daughter. And at first, my daughter seemed to not mind the pursuit. And then she became hostile toward this boy and wanted it to stop. And to my knowledge, my child has never dated a boy, never dated a boy, had no experience with a boy ever that I know of. So then my gets out of high school. I never hear any gendery comments, any gender dysphoria. I never hear any of that. There's no sign of it in childhood, but about after high school graduation, my child's in an apartment that we were trying because my child had some mental health issues and I don't know what she needs. She's not going to go to college. She should be going, I don't know. That's a different story. We won't even go there. But my child's in an apartment. So I go over there periodically. I see my child's mentally ill. It's not good. There's dog feces. My child has a dog. There's dog feces all over the floor. You can just see these mental health issues. My child begins using ace bandages to bind her breast. And when I realize this is happening, this is my first penetration of this, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening here? What are you doing? And then I realized it's this gender dysphoria thing. And I'm like, well, how far are you planning to take us? Like, where's this going to go? And do you realize this is going to affect all of our lives? Like, what is this? What is this? And I believe that this influence came to my children through Japanese anime and manga, and anybody who has this in their home should remove all of it. If you have your children on a diet of Japanese manga, anime, you as an adult person probably have no idea what your children are purveying. Get it out of your home. That's what I'm going to say. It is a portal to all of this kind of stuff. And the Japanese are very much into gay porn. And that's all these themes are in there. I gave my kids all this kind of stuff unknowingly. I had no idea. No idea. None. Didn't know what I was doing. So I made sure that the demonic operating system was fully installed in my children, that they were good little demons, I guess you could say. And now I am quite horrified at how I set my kids up, because I feel quite responsible in some way for whatever has happened to my child. And the extent that this has gone to between us has completely severed our relationship, and I can have nothing to do with her. But I don't feel clean in this. I feel somehow dirty in this in a way that I don't even know how to repent for, because I simply had no idea, because the veil was closed to me about all this. I didn't know about any of it. None of it. None. But when I hear Donald Marshall explain what cloning is and the impact on the person who's been cloned, I just feel like my child's maybe being tortured because there's all these health problems that there shouldn't be, all these intestinal issues, all kinds of stuff. So let's go to this. Yes. So then later on in life, actually, let me go back. About 10 years ago, I came across someone who was a family member of the person who began Clonade. Isn't that interesting, Emma?
Whoa.
I cannot say how I came across this person because I'm not allowed to, but I did come across a person who is a relative of the founder of Clonade and was aware of cloning probably on the earlier side of things and certainly way before the COVID thing ever happened. So I kind of already knew about this. And I knew about the religion that is the basis of cloning. Did you see what I had sent you called Raelism?
I believe so. I can try to find that while you're talking about it.
Or you can go to Wikipedia and look up Raelism and we can just go right to that document. Because what I want people to see is that Raelism is a religion that is based on extraterrestrials. And so how we're going from what I've been talking about so far to this might seem confusing, but we'll get there. We'll get to how it ties together.
Okay, here we go. Realism.
All right. All right. It's a UFO movement founded in the 70s. They have a church. Teaches that an extraterrestrial species known as the Elohim created humanity using their advanced technology. And aesthetic religion, it holds that Elohim have historically been mistaken for gods. So you guys can read all of this, and I would definitely suggest that you read all through this whole Wikipedia thing of this, because what these ETs that this is based on believe is that genderless individuals are what's represented by that group. And so the Baphomet is, does your audience know what the Baphomet is?
Yes, but you're more than welcome to explain it if there's some new people.
Okay. Well, we might have a picture of the Baphomet that I may have sent you. But let's come up with something, either a picture I sent you or we can find one. But the Baphomet is the goat with the horns, the breast, and a penis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can leave. Yeah, go ahead. Just go through.
Tweets that you sent. I think there was this one too. Oh wait, that's you. We had these two. I'll find a Baphomet while you're talking.
Yeah. So what they're doing in Hollywood. So is your audience aware that many members of Hollywood, if not most, are all trans inverted, that they're all inverted?
I think that's definitely been a topic that's come up for sure. Yes.
Okay. So the reason that Hollywood has always seemed so glamorous and out of our reach as commoners is because they've been transgendering these people for forever. There we go. There's the Baphomet. So the people, the global elite, and the people and entities out there that are evil, this is what it's all about. It's about a genderless being, a transgender being, or not, it's not a transgender being, it's just a being who's both genders. That's what you got going on there. And so what they're doing in Hollywood is, I believe, cloning and in vitro making these changes. So you get a baby that's a girl in vitro, they're then making it a boy. So do you see what they're doing? So this is our awareness of transgenderism and our awareness of how all of these things go together. How do ETs, how does transgenderism and ETs, cloning, how does it all go together? Well, it does. It does. So they're cranking these individuals out, and some people, I guess, okay, there you go. That's what they're going for. That's what they're worshiping. So, okay, now I'm inclined to talk about something else. It's okay. Can you hold there?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold there. One of the Kabbalah secrets revealed: these people are transformed in utero. By the 8th week of pregnancy, the genitalia have not been formed yet, so they inject the opposite hormone. The blood test will reveal if there's testosterone presence in the mother's blood in the womb. The result is that the external part of the body is formed according to the hormone being injected. So a boy will be born with a skeleton of a woman and a penis, but he will have to take external testosterone for the rest of his life. Conversely, if estrogen is injected, the boy will be born with a vagina, but will not be able to have kids since they cannot pass through the narrow cavity of the pelvis. Old school transformers would just chop the testes of a boy or give the mother testosterone from animals in order to change the girl. That is their secret. It happens in nature by accident. Google, what is a free Martin? I don't know that term. That's a new one to me.
Yeah, me neither. We'll have to look it up. I think there's one more photo. Oh, I guess not. We're back to the beginning. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, those I think we've seen
Yeah.
basically what we needed to see. So this whole transgender issue is occurring in the 3D world physically, but the roots and tentacles of it are a spiritual issue. Do you see? So the youth of our society are being psyoped into this transgender idea, and they're being taught to become at war with themselves. And so I have been watching my child be at war with themselves, and I know that that is not cannot be of God. And I believe that we choose and agree with our gender before we come here, and our job in a human body with a soul is to experience life through self-acceptance and in a healthy, sacred relationship with oneself, not through self-assault, self-mutilation, okay, not through perversity. So